All right, so memorizing the solubility rules. There is a way to memorize the solubility rules without memorizing every single one of the solubility rules. All right, and it comes in the form of a story. So here's the basics of the story. There are two gangs. All right, there are two gangs, rival gangs. There's good guys and the bad guys. All right, and each of the gangs has a name. Ready for this? First name is the good guys, and that is no choclos. No choclos. Okay? Just go with it. So no choclos, they don't care. They don't get together with anybody. They're separate. They're apathetic. They just don't hook up with anybody. All right? They also have a sidekick. His name's Ammonium Ion. Just go with it. All right? Now, so no choclos, they don't hook up with anybody. They're apathetic. They don't connect. All right? Now, there's another group called Skokropo. Skokropo.
Not the Skokropo.
Yes, the Skokropo. All right? The Skokropo, they hook up, they grab a hold of anybody they can get their hands on. All right? They're kind of some sick individuals. They also have sidekick, hydroxide, and oxygen ion. All right? So, these are the two basic groups. First group, no choclos. They basically don't hook up with anybody. They're soluble with everybody. All right? They are soluble with everybody. What does no choclos stand for? What no choclos stands for is nitrate ion, acetate ion, and the two chlorate and perchlorate ion. And of course ammonia. All right? Those guys are soluble with everything. So if you can memorize no choclos and remember what it means, you've got all the soluble ions. They're soluble with everybody. Okay? The other thing that fits in there in terms of positive ions is the alkali metals. Alkali metal ions, soluble with everybody. All right? Now, these guys, these are insoluble with everybody for the most part. All right? And what do they stand for? That's sulfur ion. That's carbonate ion. That's chromate ion. Pretty yellow chromate. All right? And this is phosphate ion. And these are obvious. All right? Now, there are exceptions, but they're easy. All right? There are exceptions, but they're easy. What the exceptions are is like this. Sulfur, hydroxide, there's another group called K-baser. That's calcium, barium, and strontium. They're at the bottom of column 2. K-baser, these guys have some solubility with. These guys in the middle, they're insoluble with K-baser. But these guys here with K-baser, they're slightly soluble. Now, there's a couple other rules that you might have seen, and they're a little weird, so just go with it. So, next one. There's brickle trickle. All right? You could spell it that way. Some people like to spell it with the I in the middle, brickle. All right? Brickle, these guys are heavy metal groupies. Okay? These guys, they don't want to listen to this soft rock crap. All right? They don't want to do country. They're strictly into heavy metal. All right? They won't hook up with anybody but the heavy metals. All right? So what are the heavy metals? Anybody remember from the video? All right, you got mercury, you got lead, silver maybe. What else is down in that region? Might want to look. There might be one more there. Who are we thinking about? All right. So these guys, they're heavy metal groupies. They are soluble with everybody except the heavy metals. All right. So those ions are soluble with everything except the heaviest metals. There's one last one. There's one called Sau. sulfate. We haven't mentioned it so far. All right. Sows love mud. They only hook up with K-Baser pub. All right. So they're soluble with everybody but K-Baser pub. We just have to add the big lead. All right. Now let's just walk through this real quickly as a review. Nitrosclose, soluble with everybody. Everybody. Includes ammonium and the alkali metals. Scopropo, insoluble with everybody, except K-Baser and of course the alkalis. Brickle trickles through everything except the heavy metals. And Sal hooks up with K-Baser pump. Now, instead of trying to remember all those rules and all those bits and all those pieces, all you have to do is chunk it into groups and it goes fairly painlessly. Now notice a couple of things. What's the charge on all of these solubles? -1. What's the charge on all of these insolubles? 2 or 3. Hydroxide's the weirdo because it's a very small molecule. We just talked about water in the other video about the idea of hydroxide being, water being a very small molecule able to grab things. Hydroxide's the same way. All right? And then Brickle, those guys are in that halogen column. They let go of most things. They're just -1s, except some of the heaviest, biggest ions. And sulfate's just weird, so you just have to memorize it. K-Baser pub.